Hey, friend.
Hello.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm excited for this week's episode. We're actually going to be talking about getting fired up. Okay. I want to ask, do either of you have a memory of when you got a little too fired up at a sporting event?
White Sox blackout game. I had the pleasure of being in a bar that will not be named. The home run gets hit and everyone's going crazy. Everyone's throwing beer all around the place. And I'm standing on a booth trying to stay dry. I get thrown out of the bar because they think I'm the person that's doing too much.
No.
That's the last time I got super fired up.
When bad things happen, I usually become more withdrawn. And so I think I've had exaggerated reactions to things, but it's mostly me just crumpling onto the floor.
No broken televisions out here. No.
I don't
not
believe
my jam.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Someone asked me before in the past, it was like, hey, what's the correlation between being an artist, painting, and being a tight end? You're painting a picture when you're a tight end.
Yeah.
There's so many different layers to the position.
We are back with a new episode of The Athletic Show. How was y'all's weeks?
It was great. We're getting toward the holidays. I'm feeling good.
Yeah.
Facts,
holiday
right?
vibes.
Thanksgiving is literally next week. That's so crazy. Going into this show, we're going to be talking about one of the biggest villains in the NBA being fired last week, Dallas Mavericks GM Nico Harrison. Why was he so hated? And why was it time for him to finally go? And we're talking about one of my favorite sports ever, volleyball.
Mine too.
I'm learning this, and I can't wait to hear more about this. There's a new pro league, and we got to figure out whether this new pro league has some legs. Finally, for our main story, we've got a Super Bowl champ here on set to help us understand if the golden age of the tight end is coming to an end. Shall we dig in?
Let's get it.
Okay, let's get into it. So our first story today is about the Dallas Mavericks GM, Nico Harrison, being fired from his job. GMs get fired all the time. They don't typically make national news, but this one's a little different. This seems a bit different, and that's because Harrison was the architect behind one of the worst lopsided trades in NBA history, hell, maybe sports history, when he decided to ship out beloved superstar cornerstone of the Dallas Mavericks, Luka Doncic, to the Los Angeles Lakers. I've been obsessed with this story. I think any NBA fan has been obsessed with this story. I remember the night it happened, I was coming back from a baby shower, saw the news. I pulled my car over, got on Instagram Live for the first time in my entire life. Okay, it was worth it.
That's how you know. That's how you know it's a big moment.
It was a big moment.
Nico Harrison, in this age and wave of general managers and architects coming from outside of basketball, and he's a player relations guy for Nike for 20 years, VP marketing. So he's been around of basketball and of the world for a very long time. Nico Harrison did not like the player that Luka Doncic was, but the problem is the rest of the NBA loved him. Fans in Dallas with Dirk Nowitzki, like they've had relationships with one player for 15, 20 years at a time. So they thought that this was the next guy that was going to lead them to glory, 2 Western Conference Finals, an NBA Finals visit as well. But it didn't work out. Now Nico Harrison has been fired, and people are kind of taking a look at should fans and the general consensus weigh heavier in decision-making when it comes to general managers, just knowing your fan base. And this is a cautionary tale.
There are deals that when you look back on them 5-10 years later, we destroy them. They were terrible decisions. They were not the right move for the future of the team. This didn't need 5 or 10 years. The fan response to this trade was immediate. I mean, I had people in my life that were lifelong, diehard Dallas Mavericks fans that I knew that immediately were like, I'm cutting ties with the franchise. And Luka, there was a style that he played with. There's a joy that he played with. And I think that incites a certain level of joy from your fan base. And when you take that away, you draw the ire of those people. And I think that's exactly what happened. And the response was instantaneous. I mean, there were so many just overt gestures by the fan base. There was a mock funeral. There were the Fire Nico chants. And they're even making Fire Nico onesies for babies.
Wow, not the babies, not the next generation. They don't even know what's going on.
Poisoned. And the moment that this season started to go south for Dallas, even with #1 pick Cooper Flagg in the building, I think everybody was ready for heads to roll. I don't think he really understood what was coming for him after making this move. And you can see that in the exit interview that he gave after last season.
I did know that Luka was important to the fan base. I didn't quite know it to what level.
Why shouldn't you be fired?
Well, one, I think I've done a really good job here, and I don't think I can be judged by the injuries this year. You have to judge from totality, from beginning to end. And you'll see next year when our team comes back, we're going to be competing for a championship.
To say I didn't know how important he was to the fan base is so tone deaf. This was a passing of the torch. Dirk Nowitzki played 1 year with Luka Doncic. He was ready to retire. Luka comes in his rookie year. He gets Rookie of the Year.
He was good immediately.
He was good immediately.
There was no ambiguity about this.
Exactly.
No,
he
he's
was
a
good
star
immediately. 5 straight years after that, All-NBA, also an All-Star. Now, you can look at this and say, oh, yes, you trade one All-NBA player for another All-NBA player. If you want to protect the idea and the premise of what Nico Harrison was looking for, okay, that makes sense. But for 3 years, Anthony Davis did not play more than 56 games.
Yeah.
He was a harbinger of injuries. He was plagued by them.
So who would have thought it might have happened again?
Again.
I understand he was the #1 overall pick and Anthony Davis has had a storied career, but Luka was what, 24, 25?
25 years old, still in his prime. And that probably more than anything is the issue. Christian Clark, our writer for the Mavs, we asked him about how are fans reacting to this, particularly since he's been fired. He went to Wednesday's home game and asked some fans about how they're feeling and processing the news. Look what they said.
Can you move on from this? I think eventually I will be able to, but it's just hard right now. Still fresh, still in the world, all this start, but I think eventually we'll be able to.
The Mavericks organization, you had to make a statement to the fans, like, stay with us. They even said that they refunded at least one fan's tickets to their game. People don't do that. Teams do not refund tickets, regardless of what happens. But this is now the space in which these fans are trying to operate as Dallas Mavericks fans. They don't have Luka anymore. They don't know what the future is. You bring in Cooper Flagg, you get the #1 pick. And there's so much pressure on Cooper Flagg, who now has to go to the free throw line. And as he's trying to focus on his free throws as a rookie, fire Nico.
He was fired the moment that he made the trade. I think the reason why he was fired as well is when you have an asset like that, if you do want to move it, you get as much as you possibly can. He didn't throw it open to the rest of the league. You know, you've seen what superstars yield on the return.
Right.
I don't know if Nico would have done himself or did himself any favors by only calling the Lakers.
I think that as we've gotten to an era of optimization in front offices in sports, when you have people from outside worlds, whether it's corporate America, whether it's Wall Street, and you come in and it's like, all right, where are the edges? How can I make sure I'm finding the margins in how I'm trading for players and evaluating players? The human element is going to be the difference maker. Understanding the dynamics, whether it's in your building or with the fans. I think that's something that people are going to gain an advantage from if they tap into it. And I think ultimately that's where he went wrong.
You could be as mad as you want. If a team is porous, you can continue to patronize that restaurant. If the bad food is happening, that's on you.
Right.
And on top of it, if you make a move like this, you have to win. It's as simple as that.
Immediately.
Winning shuts everything up,
If
everyone
Anthony
up.
was not hurt and Kyrie wasn't hurt, this could have been a completely different conversation. But as of right now, the Dallas Mavericks are trying to figure out how to get out of the bottom of the West. Let's shift over to the second topic of the day. A little throwback for me, volleyball. Guys, I used to play. Look at me.
Oh, wow. Look at that height.
I had a crazy vertical. I could touch rim back in the day. There is a new league, League One Volleyball, Love as it's known, that is a professional indoor women's volleyball league that launched in January with 6 franchises. They've added 2 more in the last few weeks. They announced Los Angeles and Minnesota. And guys, according to the league, they are doing numbers. They drew 191 million impressions and they grew their engagement by 10% on TikTok, generating 38.9 million views.
That's a lot.
That's a lot of their.
Cool, we're all striving toward.
This is match content, guys. And the championship between Omaha and Austin got over 1.1 million viewers. Now, I love volleyball. I remember the football players not knowing a thing about volleyball happily come to our games, cheering, getting really into it. And I think that this is something that can absolutely catch fire.
Well, they got a lot of bread behind them. The LA expansion team, which is backed by Reddit founder Alexis Ohanian. A great article about this in The Athletic where Ohanian raved about the league. It doesn't really have a male-dominated counterpart. They own the culture. They own the space. Like usually you're talking about, well, I'm used to watching the men do this, and that's why I don't watch this sport. Well, that's not the case with this. And also the athletes already have massive followings, as you mentioned, with all the TikTok content and the engagement. When we were in our pre-show meeting tossing ideas around, you came out, you bust through the walls like the Kool-Aid man, like I want to talk about women's volleyball.
I love indoor volleyball, and I've loved indoor volleyball for a long time. In an indoor setting, to me, it is a perfect spectator sport for a few different reasons. The rules are easy to understand. Every point matters. Every moment matters. And so there's tension constantly. And there's a rhythm to the way the game is played. I'm so interested in whether this catches on. And I think it's not an accident that a lot of the teams that you're seeing in the professional league, Austin, Omaha, these are teams in cities where there are colleges.
Yeah.
College women's volleyball is
It's
huge.
huge.
And I just feel like if anybody taps into this for even a little while, go to a game, take your kids to a game. I would challenge you that I think you'll fall in love with it really quickly, because that's exactly what happened to me when I started watching.
I'm really happy you mentioned like exactly where these teams are popping up. If you look at what Minnesota is doing in terms of their engagement with volleyball and their involvement, over 17,000 athletes are part of volleyball teams across 450 programs. That's a lot. High school championships in Minnesota sell out regularly. Like people love this. And I do.
The University of Minnesota also has.
And University of Minnesota is
women's volleyball
fire
program. Yeah.
at volleyball.
Women's volleyball also has a lot of names that are getting ready to come up as well. You see a lot of these NBA players' daughters
Yes.
who aren't going the WNBA route. Kevin Garnett's daughter is playing college volleyball. Riley Curry, Steph Curry, famously, his daughter is at every single press conference.
The fact that she's old enough to play volleyball now is crazy.
LeBron's daughter is
Zuri
too.
James
Yeah.
out here doing her thing. So like there's going to be some name recognitions for the casual fans of other sports who want to get into this as well.
Yeah.
So, but the question I would have for you is, we've heard this about a lot of different leagues, right? And a lot of different sports that might be niche to some people. How does it blow up? How does it break through? What's going to make this different? Because like you mentioned, the sport, like there's a climax seemingly every 15, 20 seconds in terms of the kill, right? Like there's like a home run explosion that can happen every single place. So the actual action of the game is alluring. It's just getting people there.
I think that's the biggest thing, because I think a lot of other sports that people are trying to access are maybe a little bit foreign to them when it comes to the rules or the pace. You know, like soccer, for people who aren't used to soccer, the pace of the game, I think, can be a little mind-numbing for some people. Rugby. Think about how complicated of a game something like rugby
Truly is.
And I do think that this game specifically, it's the combination of the rhythms of it, plus how easy it is to understand, that I think this is really about exposure.
I think the only thing that could be a hindrance is if they can't get those college fans to translate. And it's really hard if you're not already watching college volleyball, because it's during one of the busiest periods of the year when college football is happening and the NFL is starting. And so that's the only thing. If they can find a way to really tap into that market or elevate them from a media perspective, that it'll be their boon, just like women's basketball. All right, guys, the long overlooked and sometimes misunderstood NFL position of tight end is having a moment in the sun these days, thanks to superstars like Travis Kelce and George Kittle. And to help us understand why, we got two experts in the building, okay, to help us understand exactly what it is that tight ends do. And Jourdan Rodrigue, our NFL reporter for The Athletic, as well as Vernon Davis, former NFL Pro Bowl tight end, who's joining us as an analyst for The Athletic show today. Welcome, guys.
Good to be here.
So happy to be here with you guys.
We are very, very excited. So, Robert, first and foremost, help us understand from what you know, what does a tight end do?
Tight end is kind of like the do-it-all dirty work guy among the skill position players on an NFL team. You're like half offensive lineman, half wide receiver, and that often is a thankless job. And so it's been really fun over the last, I would say 5 to 10 years or so, watching some of these superstar celebrity tight ends come into the limelight. Gronk became kind of a cultural fascination when he was with the Patriots. We have a tight end who's going to marry the biggest pop star in the world and has one of the biggest podcasts in America. And so there is more exposure for these guys than there's ever been before. And Vernon, I'm curious, as you watch this moment that's happened for tight ends over the last 5 or so years, somebody who played that position, what has it been like to kind of sit in this moment for those guys and kind of your brethren at that spot?
Yeah, I think the way they're using the tight ends right now is like it's phenomenal. and I would love to play in this era. You know what I mean? This is like, as a tight end, you never really want to block. You always want to be the one scoring touchdowns, catching passes, and unfortunately, it don't work that way all the time. But it's great to see. I love how the position has evolved. It's amazing, especially being able to cultivate a relationship with some of the guys that are now playing the position, like Kelsey and Kittle. I'm rooting for him.
Jourdan, you wrote a terrific piece on this, and I did not know there was a National Tight End Day until you wrote the piece.
Literally, same.
On Sunday, because they tell you on
They remind you if you
I
know.
watch
Social media feeds.
You wrote the piece, and Vernon's sitting right here, and we talk football with ex-athletes and current tight ends. What's happening? Why is this resurgence?
Well, Vernon was a pioneer. I think we all know that, because now so many of the players who play tight end are these hybrid outliers. The league has trended toward passing for quite some time, and college football has also followed suit, and more players are available who can be a mismatch in the passing game. To react to that, defenses got smaller and lighter, trying to play more defensive backs on the field at once to account for more teams using 3 wide receiver sets, right? So that's been a trend. That's been the wave.
Question for the group. Anybody want to guess how many touchdowns Vernon had in his career? Vernon, you can guess too.
You can guess too.
Yeah, I mean,
35.
it was probably like, there were little years we had like 7 or 8. And you were in the league for a little while. I'm going to guess like 50.
50?
I'm going to go with 80.
80's a lot.
That's a lot.
There's a lot for a Saturday.
Davis is really good
man,
play.
thank you so much.
62.
62.
This sounds about right.
There you go.
63.
Wow, that's pretty good.
That's crazy.
Which one did I short you on?
I'm literally
what was
going-
the game?
I'm going to the Price is Right with you, Jourdan.
$1.
That is also 7th all time by tight ends, by the way. Vernon, in your experience, like, how is the tight end viewed by other players in the locker room?
We think of us as that blue collar guy. You know, the guy that comes to work every day with his lunchbox and they got his sandwich, his coffee mug. You know what I mean? That's who we are. We did all that dirty stuff. We do the dirty work, but it's pretty cool to be on different facets of the unit. I would say, because we block, so we're hanging out with the offensive linemen. We catch passes, so we're cool because we get to hang out with the wide receivers. And sometimes we get the ball handed off to us, depending on who the offensive coordinator is. And it's pretty dope to
You're
be
popular in the locker room.
Yeah, we're pretty popular because we do it all.
Vernon, you had to learn every language of the offense, and every position has its own language. And you had to learn every single one of them to the point where you're an expert in speaking to all these different, not just communities of position players, but like backgrounds and getting to know everyone. Mr. Congeniality is the tight end, in my opinion.
Like, how did you decide I want to become a tight end? Were you being greedy?
I didn't decide.
You're like, I want both. Oh.
I didn't decide. I walked into my coach's office and I said, "Hey, I want to try out for this team." He was looking me up and down. He said, "What you want to play?" I said, "Anything that has to do with scoring touchdowns." I said, He said, "I'll start you at wide receiver." Then he moved me to tight end, and then I started playing defense and things of that nature. So by the time I got to college, Coach Ralph Friesian was there at Maryland, and he looked at me the same way my coach looked at me and said, "Oh, you're going to get bigger. So I'll put you at H-back." So that's going to the whole thing between H-back and tight end.
Yeah.
Came to the fold.
You just spoke to the coaching aspect, but tight ends truly have to kind of like teach each other. That's what I learned from your piece as well. Like, the tight ends are a group that kind of has to pass along tricks of the trade to each other.
Yeah, it's fascinating. In reporting this piece and getting to travel around the country, talking to some of the top guys currently in the craft, and then guys who are 3rd and 4th on the roster and trying to find their way on special teams and learning the technical elements of it. Peer-to-peer coaching is so important. And the things that these players, they're so fiercely protective of, like, the technical lore, I would say, of the position, because it's precious. That was the thing that most moved me, I think, about going and reporting through this story, was how passionate the teachers within the position are. I kind of started thinking about people swapping stories around a campfire.
Yeah.
And that's what this position is passing on by word of mouth and word of trade what's so special about it and what gets preserved throughout the different eras of the position.
Why do you think among the skill position players, tight ends are the ones that have kind of formed this like national fraternity of sorts? And why do you think that's important?
I think it's important to give back. And I think that's what they're doing. They're giving back. They're teaching. I mean, this position is it's like a creative position, like a lot of creativity going on. I'm a fine arts major, so once someone asked me before in the past, it was like, hey, what's the correlation between being an artist, painting, and being a tight end? You're painting a picture when you're a tight end.
Yeah.
There's so many different layers to the position, so many different layers, even pushing up on a defensive back. Like there's a technique with that.
It's more art than science. It really is.
It is an art.
And I think that this position and the prominence of the position has been driven in part because there are really charismatic personalities that we've been able to attach ourselves to.
WWE-like personality.
And Travis Kelce was Travis Kelce before Taylor Swift. I'll tell you right now. I wrote a story in 2014 about all the touchdown dances Travis Kelce was doing. Like
he was swaggy as well.
He was putting something at that position that we had not seen. Gronk is like that. George Kittle was one of the most charismatic players in the entire NFL.
Yeah.
But it feels like there's a bigger focus on tight ends in this limelight right now. And I might be asking an ignorant question, but could it be as simple as 2 words, Taylor Swift?
That's, first of all, not a simple 2 words.
Okay. I'm just asking
and
for
Swifties, don't come after me for this.
That's why I ducked out the camera view.
Careful.
I know. Gotta ask it for the sake of the conversation,
I am
folks.
tiptoeing here. But it's cool, though, because she does happen to be the most famous pop star in the world, and she does happen to be engaged to a future Hall of Fame tight end. She has gotten interested in what he does for a living and brought an entire wave of fans into what I think they attach to as a, to use, I guess, her word, a folklore within the position and this very artistic way that the position is played. And so such a spotlight on it, but I think her interest has especially driven broader interest in like tight end university, for example, where
What's that?
So George Kittle and Greg Olson and Travis Kelce a few years ago started basically a peer-to-peer coaching seminar. It takes place in Nashville annually, and it's really blown up. I mean, we're talking about how the tight end brand has really become a part of not just the sports zeitgeist, but a huge element of pop culture as well, and more attention on it than ever before. And it was really important when I talked to George Kittle about this and passing on coaching, even when he leaves the game, that the veterans are bringing in the younger guys to such an event like this, and they are doing instruction elements of it. There's fun that happens. I mean, Taylor Swift even performed at it this year. I think the video went crazy viral. Right?
Yeah.
So it's not bad when, you can bring your spouses and your partners, and then all of a sudden the most famous pop star in the world is on stage at a honky tonk in Nashville having an impromptu concert, right? But the element that stays at the core and the foundation of what Tight End University is something that I think they all hope gets carried forward, because those important teaching points and technical elements of the position are what these players hold as so fiercely a part of the pride of what the position is and always has been.
Vernon, did you ever have a version of Tight End University yourself? I'm curious.
Who taught you something? Who taught you something cool? They got to tell your secrets now, because we're not going to use them against you. Unless you really want to go back and play, we could see it.
But I think there's a lot of different techniques you can use depending on whether it's blocking, but route running. I should say, like maybe it's getting to the next level, right? Say I'm at the next level and I'm getting on the defender, and once I push up on him, the key is staying tight to him, because you don't want to, if you're running like a post route where you push up and you cutting in, you don't want to get too far outside, too far inside. You want to stay tight to this guy. Now, to get by him, what I would do if I push up on him, I would turn my shoulder like this and then get back on track. That way, if he pushed me, he's pushing me forward, and I could just lose the momentum.
You're almost using his weight against him.
Yeah,
I'm
getting my
his
momentum,
weight,
and I'm getting where I need to be, because the quarterback's taking 3 to 4 steps. You want to get to where you need to be, because if not, how do you create that trust that you need to have?
And it's
This
all
man
about
said
timing.
in the leather, you know what I mean? I'm like, I do. I do
Shout
know
out
what
to
you mean.
nuances in leather.
Pleather. That's right. It's cheaper.
A friend to the animals.
My favorite part about covering the NFL, about being an NFL fan, is the fact that it's all cyclical all the time. This moment is not going to last for reasons that you laid out. I mean, as defenses get lighter, offenses get heavier. As offenses get heavier, defenses get lighter. Is this something that has a shelf life because of the cyclical nature of the sport?
Yeah, I think every position except quarterback has a shelf life in terms of the moment in the sun, right? So when the next cycle rolls around, George Kittle will probably be retired. Travis Kelce will probably be retired. There will be a space or a gap left for this new wave of personalities, I think. But the thing that will have not changed through all this time is how prideful people are in what they do, and they do everything. And as long as you can keep doing everything, you will still have a spot within all of the evolutionary shifts of what football is.
Well, Jourdan, we thank you for doing everything to cover this story and appreciate you, Vernon, coming in, being an analyst for us on The Athletic Show. Did a great job, guys. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
All right, gang, got a question. Does anyone here like learning?
Love learning.
Of course, it's The Athletic. Does anyone here like feeling good?
I
Love
love
feeling
good, even more than learning.
Oh,
yeah.
how you're talking. So then you're in luck because it's time for our weekly segment we like to call LFG, Learning Feels Good.
Ow.
You know how it works. Obviously, she knows how it works. I'll give you a number, and you have to guess what it's referring to. You guys ready?
Let's do it.
All right. The number is 42. 42. Shout out to my 8th grade English teacher.
Look at you. All right.
Is it A, the amount of hot dogs consumed by the second-place male competitor in last summer's 4th of July hot dog eating contest? Is it B, the number of different starting quarterbacks the Browns will have started since 1999 after Jourdan Sanders gets to start this upcoming weekend? Or C, career triple-doubles for Luka Doncic? We just talked about Luka. Finally, D, the number of NHL players that have scored 500 career goals after Toronto's John Tavares did so earlier this season. A, B, C, or D, the number is 42.
I know the answer, and so I'm going to let you guess before I
Oh,
do
okay.
that. Because I want to know what you think.
Number of NHL players who have scored 500 career goals.
42
Oh.
is a lot.
Yeah, that's a lot. Okay, so C and D I'm out on. I'm genuinely like, I have seen the men soak those hot dogs and figure it out. But I feel like there's been a lot of quarterbacks. Shador. I'm cheering for Shador.
There you go. There you go.
It is B.
It is B.
It is me.
It is B.
Guys, I finally won.
It is B.
Thank you.
The one week that you don't play.
The imagery of men soaking hot dogs is wilding me out right now. But yes, incredibly, when Jourdan Sanders takes the field as the starter this Sunday, the Browns will have had 42. That's right, 42 different starters since the franchise moved back to Cleveland in 1999.
Shout out to Tim Couch.
Shout out to Tim Couch and Derek Anderson and all those dudes. Shador
We'll be here for a while.
Yeah, we'll be here for a while if we're naming all of them, right? Kelly Holcomb. Shador has been a huge NFL talking point since dropping to the 5th round on draft day. He made his debut last week after the rookie selected ahead of him, Dylan Gabriel out of Oregon, left with a concussion. And since 1999, 17 Browns quarterbacks have made their starting debut as rookies, and all 17 of them have lost.
26 years,
26 years.
42 quarterbacks.
Have you seen the jersey?
That's wild.
Does this come into your purview at all, the jersey?
This is jersey.
There's an ongoing jersey
Yeah.
in Cleveland where they have all of the names listed on the back of the jersey. And so every time they have a new starting quarterback, they put a new nameplate on the jersey.
Yeah.
That is a level of futility
That is.
we rarely see in professional sports.
On that note, that is going to be it for us. Thank you to Jourdan Rodrigue for joining us and Vernon Davis, talking about tight ends. And remember, you can find new episodes of The Athletic Show every Saturday on Fire TV. And go check out athletic.com because superstars like Jourdan Rodrigue are writing in there because we've got the world's best sports journalism. Bam.